All right, listen up, class. Today we are looking at a meal plan. This is a meal plan that we put together with the help of our live stream audience. They asked questions, they made suggestions, they made bad suggestions, and I told them those were stupid ideas. And we fixed the plans, and in the end, we came up with a good plan that would help somebody lose weight or keep it off long term. This is a plan for a fictional character, but we designed it in such a way that we're trying to tackle a lot of the challenges that most of you are going to have to face on a regular, everyday basis. We're trying to make this person as real as possible and their plans as relatable as they need to be. This particular person is 68 years old, and he is retired. He has a lot of time that he spends on his own at home, but he also has a lot of hobbies and little projects and things that he does to occupy his time. So he's not bored. He's got stuff to do. He really follows his own schedule, and he's pretty hard-nosed. He doesn't want to be told what to do. He doesn't want to be forced to eat stuff just because I say it's healthy. He's got to make these choices for himself. He wants foods that taste good, but more than anything, he's kind of not into the cooking process. He wants things easy and simple and fast. He's not about trying new recipes or going on Pinterest or exploring what options are out there in the world. Over time, I'm going to try and soften him up, and in future plans, we'll see if we can get him to try some new stuff. But for the most part, he struggles with fast food and frozen dinners and things that are always going to be challenging just because they're convenient and they're easy and they don't take a lot of work. So the plan that we put together for him is going to have to tackle those challenges. If that is the sort of stuff that you're interested in, I highly recommend that you subscribe to the channel and continue to look at plans for this gentleman as they come out in the future. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff that we talk about. Today, we're going to look at his normal, quote-unquote, everyday plan. Every day is going to look a little bit different, but he's going to try and stick to a standard routine as much as possible. We're going to look at that routine today. In the future, we're going to add in some extra challenges. We're going to take a look at what he does if he's really busy. We're going to take a look at what he does when he's trying to relax, if he's on vacation, or if he's got a holiday, he's with family. We're going to take a look at how he handles grief and stress and emotional eating. All of these sort of questions we're going to answer in future meal plans. But today, we're going to do something pretty normal. So let's get right to it. All right, this is our guy, Walter. He is, I think, a very cool character. I have not worked with Walter because he is a fictional character, but I've worked with a lot of guys very much like Walter with a similar personality type. On the outside, he's strong. He's kind of off-putting. He doesn't do diets. He hasn't been in the diet world. I promise you, he's never tried the low-carb approach or intermittent fasting. He never cared what Beyonce did to stay in shape while she was on tour. He's not about the diet world. He wants practical solutions. You're not going to be able to tell him what to do. He's 68 years old, and he'll remind you of his age, and he'll put you in your place if you try and force him to do something he doesn't want to do. So it has to be, as much as possible, enjoyable and adaptable to his needs. He is former military, so he's pretty regimented. He likes structured routines. He wakes up early. He goes to bed at the same time pretty much every night. He has things on a schedule that he likes. And he's also into the hierarchy of it all. He likes that sort of military structure and routine. On top of that, he has this new puppy that he has to take care of. So some of the decisions he makes balances around being able to be there for the puppy. They've really become pretty inseparable. His wife passed away within the last year, and so she's his main companion now. He lives by himself, and we got to make sure that he gets to take care of her. We won't sacrifice on that. Outside of that, let's take a look at what his typical day looks like, and then I'll explain some of the food choices that he makes. Once we know what he has to deal with, it's going to be a lot easier to understand why he eats the things that he does. So let's go. First, Walter wakes up early in the morning. He has not broken that habit. He never will break that habit. He wakes up at like 4 o'clock every day. He gets started in the day. He makes a big breakfast, and he takes his time eating breakfast. This is pretty unique for Walter. A lot of the people that we do meal plans for don't have time for breakfast on a normal weekday. They're busy. They've got kids or family to take care of. They've got to get to work. They try to sleep in as long as they possibly can. Walter gets this, we'll call it a convenience. I think it's a good thing that he has time to set up in the morning and read his newspaper and drink his coffee and take his time here. That's really nicely built into his schedule. Now, even though he has time, he still does not like to cook, so the recipes we give him are going to be pretty simple and straightforward. After breakfast, he spends most of his day working. He was a mechanic in the military. He rides a motorcycle, so he does maintenance on his motorcycle, and that's something that he really enjoys doing. But he also has this reputation around town for being the handyman. If somebody has a broken lawnmower or washing machine, they'll bring it to him and he'll help work on it. And I think it's a neat character because he's always grumpy about it. He's always complaining, how do you mess up your lawnmower? How did you break this again? I can't believe you're bringing me more work. But he also always takes on the work. He's always helping everybody. So you can tell there's a heart of gold underneath that Hawaiian shirt that he wears unbuttoned all the time. He is a really, he's a nice guy. And every person I've ever met like Walter that had that kind of tough exterior was really cool underneath. So I really enjoy working with Walter and folks like him. So he's working. He's in his garage. His hands are greasy. He's sweaty. He's not snacking. He's not going to the gym and doing exercise. He has no particular routine. And some days he has more work and some days he doesn't have as much work. But he does stay busy. If he's not doing the mechanical stuff, if he doesn't really have any work to do, he has hobbies. He probably does like building boats in a bottle or like models of army tanks or airplanes or something like that. I feel like he does models probably. But outside of that, he fills his day with whatever he wants. He's retired, so he gets to work on a whim. If he says, I don't want to work today, I'm going to go do this, he can do it. If he says, I'm going to sit in my lazy boy all day and watch TV, he can sit in his recliner and he can do that. That's really up to his schedule. Now, today's a normal day, so we're going to say he's working in his garage, and he's got some stuff to do, some stuff to tinker with. The way that that's going to affect his meal plan is that he's probably not going to be stopping to snack in there. If he is going to snack, his hands are greasy and stuff, so he's going to be looking for snacks that aren't going to interfere with his work. So that's going to be a particular challenge. Then he sits down for lunch. Walter has the freedom to choose a lunchtime. He always eats lunch at the same time. He stops no matter what his work looks like, no matter what his schedule is. He can always stop and have lunch. And he likes to organize his lunch around some television programs that he watches. In my mind, he's big on some of the Jerry Springer and Maury Povich, Who's the Baby Daddy type TV shows. I feel like that's what he's into, at least in the middle of the day. In the evening, he probably watches History Channel, war documentaries, and things like that. I think he's probably really into the what's the show called where it's aliens in history? Are aliens real? I think he's into maybe some of those conspiracy videos. That's my vision. But anyways, he's going to stop, he's going to make lunch, he's going to sit in his recliner and watch TV. Sometimes he just falls asleep in the recliner watching TV. But he's going to take his time with lunch just like he takes his time with breakfast. It isn't necessarily important for the lunch to last a long time. Like his breakfast, he's nibbling and he's reading the paper and he's taking his time and he likes that aspect. Lunch doesn't necessarily have to be a long lunch, but it has to be a satisfying lunch. But then he's sitting and watching TV, and that's sort of keeping his attention. The type of stuff that normally comes in that environment is normally things like sandwiches and chips. It's fast, it's easy, it's pretty good, pretty tasty. So those are the sort of lunches that we're going to be trying to make for him. After lunch, he goes back to his garage. He has more work if he wants to tinker, or it's just a long nap through the afternoon. But in the evening, he teaches a class at a local high school, just basic car maintenance, how to change your oil and, how to make basic repairs. So he does have to get out of his recliner at that point and go down to the high school and teach this class. And again, he teaches it in such an old school, grumpy sort of way. Like, come on, this is easy stuff. You should be able to follow along with this. So he's forceful, but he's forceful because he cares. That's Walter. He teaches this class. Now, this is important because when he's in the class, he can't eat. He's going to eat on his way to class. He might eat on his way home from class. But when he gets home, it's dinner time. So we want to make sure that he doesn't stop for fast food on the way home or get into any trouble with snacking that he shouldn't be getting into. That's where a lot of his challenges are going to come. And then he eats dinner. And he likes big meat and potato kinds of dinners. So we're going to be looking for that style behind dinner. He's not a big sweet tooth. That doesn't mean he doesn't like sweets. Sweets will show up throughout the day, but he's not going to actively search for chocolate in the evening or something like that. And there's a question mark after dinner because very often he falls asleep early and in his chair. So he's got a much more relaxed pace to the day. We can move stuff around if we want to. We are a little bit more flexible with his schedule if we need to be. However, he doesn't want to be. He likes to stick to his routine as much as possible. So we're going to try and give him a routine that he can follow most of the time. And that's what we're going to look at today in his meal plan. Let's take a look at some actual foods for this specific day for Walter. All right, I did have to move my big head and block out Walter's puppy for a little while. He's got a nice full day, a long meal plan. Again, keep in mind, Walter's tastes are for meats and potatoes, for fast food, for frozen dinners, things that are convenient, things that are easy. So let's take a look at what that means when you're trying to eat healthy. To start, Walter drinks coffee. He's old school, it's black coffee. We don't have to worry about cream and sugar or any of the frills. He's not gonna mess with that stuff anyways, most of the time. I do think, over time, maybe we soften him up. That's one thing that always tends to happen as I coach somebody. At the beginning, you don't think that you like a lot of vegetables. You don't think that you need a lot of variety. You're not really looking for complicated recipes. But I think everybody does appreciate a little spice or a little sweet or just the things that make it just a little bit more enjoyable. Can I eat an apple by itself? Yeah. But do I like to have applesauce every once in a while? Do I like to cook those apples and add cinnamon and maybe build it into something that looks like an apple pie? Yeah, I like that too. It's just that I don't want to do too much work to get there. So usually early on, you'll see a lot more simple plans, and then over time, people will build out, and little by little, you try new things, and when you realize that they're not as difficult as you thought they were, then you get out of your comfort zone even further. You get to try even more cool stuff. So I think Walter's going to do some of that sort of stuff over time, but certainly getting started, we're looking for easy stuff. So black coffee, keep it simple. Now we want a big breakfast. He's going to eat breakfast while he reads the paper. So part of it's going to be sort of absent-minded. You can imagine he's holding his newspaper and then he's reaching over and he's grabbing, French fry or something, right? It's something easy that he can grab and nibble like that. The unhealthy version would be like a strip of bacon, maybe. Like stuff like that, or a piece of toast is probably what he's eating. So for this plan, I just mind closing the newspaper and putting it away. That wasn't necessary. I literally just closed the newspaper and put it to the side. Let's focus. We're not going to be reading the newspaper anymore. For this plan, man, I make myself laugh. That's all that matters in this life, guys. For this plan, black coffee. Now, we want a big breakfast that he can eat over time. Eggs. I think Walter's the type that would like whole eggs. I'd like to convince him over time to maybe try egg whites or a egg substitute. And I think he'd be open to it. But here's something that I notice a lot. If he does like fried eggs or just scrambled eggs or a dish where it's just eggs, switching to egg whites or egg substitute might be hard. In the future, I'm going to try and get him to do an omelet or to do something where you scramble the eggs with some vegetables. When you do that, if you have other flavors going on, you don't miss the egg so much. The egg white or the egg beater is okay because all the other ingredients are doing the heavy lifting. But if you just have eggs on a plate by themselves, I notice it a lot easier. There's a big difference between egg and egg white when there's nothing else going on. Even if you try and put seasonings, at least hit it with some hot sauce or something. But you can tell there's a big difference. I feel like Walter would resist and say, no, I'm not going to do egg whites, based on his nature and based on his past experience, but especially because he's just doing eggs on a plate, just scrambled eggs. So what I'd like to do is try and get some vegetables and spices and stuff into the eggs. Then he'll be more open-minded. Now, that said, eggs aren't bad. If you're trying to lose weight, you can eat eggs and lose weight. So we got some eggs for him. Then we have potatoes. And the potatoes he's cooking up as a hash. These are going to be probably canned or frozen potatoes, but they're plain. There's no sauce on them. They're not fried. He's going to throw them in a nonstick skillet. He's going to cook them with nonstick spray, and he's going to toss in some other vegetables. Onion and potato are going to be easy for him. I'm going to try and get him to throw some mushroom in there. Maybe some peppers. Maybe over time some weirder stuff. But the chat seemed to like that plan, and I do as well. Plain potatoes aren't very sexy, and they also don't have a lot of nutrition. So we'll throw some other stuff in there too. When you do that, you can get a big plate full of potatoes. Now we're also going to throw some turkey sausage into this mix. And by doing that, the turkey sausage gets to flavor everything. We don't have to worry so much about spices or a gravy or a sauce or something for it. The turkey sausage is going to do a lot of that heavy lifting. So I'm excited by that idea. By putting it into a hash, the other thing that happens is that it's a lot easier to control the portion size. If we don't want him to eat too much turkey sausage, let's take the turkey sausage and put it in with vegetables and everything else, and that little bit of turkey sausage will go a longer way. I do think on certain days he's going to want sausage links, which will be separate from everything else. I think he's going to have a bigger challenge controlling serving size on those days. But very much you can be flexible. You can choose between the two. I wrote down a spice called seasonal. I will link to that in the description below. In fact, for everything that's here in the meal plan, if there's a recipe, I'll put it on our website. I'll put a link in the comments below, or in the description below. For individual ingredients, any sauces or spices that we reference, I'll put a link in the description below. You'll find it on our website. By the time you watch this video on YouTube, those recipes, those suggestions will be up on our website, ready for you to enjoy. So anything that you want from the video, look for it there. But the seasonal is a spice that is super popular if you haven't used it. It's super popular in my area of the world for breakfast potatoes. It just adds a good seasoning, a little bit of salt to your vegetables. Very good on potatoes, but all this other stuff that it goes with is also good. Now, it's also very common where I am in the world to do fresh tomato slices. And if not tomato slices, you could do cherry tomatoes or something like that. But those are very good for breakfast when they're in season. And we specifically put that into the plan because it's something that he can be, he can eat all his eggs and potatoes, and then he can read the paper, and he can eat the tomato slices or the cherry tomatoes as he's reading the paper. So it gives him that finger food. So that's why that's there. We also put an orange, and we put it in parentheses. Maybe he wants the orange, maybe he doesn't. But the orange is also something that can be finger food as he's reading through. So he can either do lots of tomato or extra tomatoes, or he can throw an orange in if he needs more. After that, I want you to notice that there is no snack between breakfast and lunch. That's not a requirement. A lot of the plans that we do for other people on this channel have a snack between breakfast and lunch. The reason for that is because lunch is a challenge, and if you have a snack before lunch, it's a little bit easier to make sure that you're not hungry or giving in to temptations. A lot of people should have at least a small snack before lunch. For Walter, he wouldn't do it even if I told him to. That's just not something that he would give in. That's the type of thing he would fight me on. But in addition to that, it's impractical for Walter. He's in his garage, he's greasy, he's sweaty. He's not normally going to want to or be able to stop and do a snack in the middle of all that work. And I am that way as well, although I don't work in grease. If I get to work and I'm focused on something, I don't want to get distracted with a phone call. I don't want to stop to have to make a snack or throw something in the microwave. It's annoying to me when I have a specific project I'm working on. So I think there's a good chance that Walter is just not going to want that snack most of the time. And because of that, we also are really strongly front-loading his breakfast. We want that breakfast to be big because he likes a big breakfast, but we need that breakfast to be big enough and filling enough that it keeps him all the way to lunch and he doesn't make bad choices at lunch. One thing that I would consider for Walter is if he starts cheating at lunch a lot, if he starts ordering takeout or we find him getting into chips or something like that more often, we're definitely going to try and get him to have a snack between breakfast and lunch because it will help with that situation. But for his normal day, it's just not going to be there. It doesn't make sense and it doesn't need to be there. So when we get to lunch, I've already said, 20 times so far maybe, Walter is a sandwich and chips guy. He wants easy, he wants to be able to throw it together. So here's what we've given him. A hoagie roll, and anybody who's trying to lose weight is going to be happy to get a hoagie roll. I believe that there's going to be a specific hoagie roll that I link to on our website. If not, most standard breads are okay. Pick whatever cut of bread you like. My wife is really big on ciabatta right now, and I'm just not feeling ciabatta. I'm not into it. Ciabatta would be fine. Like you pick whatever bread you like. Bread is not the enemy when you're trying to lose weight. It's how much bread, and it's how you fit it into the rest of your plan. So let's take a look at his lunch here. He's having a hoagie roll. This is like a sub roll. If you're not familiar with the term hoagie, it's a grinder roll. I'm not sure. There's all sorts of different terms for hoagies. It's a submarine sandwich. It's a sub roll. It's a little bit longer of a roll. But anyways, the bread's okay. And he likes sandwiches, and we'll give him sandwiches. And I think he's going to be really digging a big sandwich. And part of the reason why I want to give him that big roll is because I don't want him eating chips. So if I can get him very happy with his sandwich, we won't be missing the chips as much. That's going to differ depending on who you are. But for Walter, I think that's a good suggestion, at least for us to try. Most days, I think he'll be happy with a big hoagie roll. Now, he's very flexible. Day to day, he'll put different stuff in the hoagie roll. Today, we're giving him fajitas. And he's probably going to use pre-cooked chicken, pre-cooked shrimp. It's probably frozen. There's canned chicken and there's canned shrimp, but they're not, I don't think they're as good. You should try them. I like canned chicken for certain recipes. I haven't found any good recipes for canned shrimp yet, but if anybody has a suggestion, leave it in the comments below. But I think most likely for me, I use frozen chicken, frozen shrimp. They have it in certain grocery stores where you can buy it and it's already seasoned and it already tastes like fajitas. But I will also link a fajita spice in the description of the video and on the website. Everything from the video will be linked. You won't miss out, I promise you guys. There's a fajita spice. So if you don't want to have to figure out the spice mix, get a pre-made fajita spice mix. Toss your chicken and your shrimp in that. Now they're frozen, you have to defrost them. My favorite way to do that is to put them in a bowl of water and microwave the whole bowl. One of the people in my class taught me that, and I didn't know that. Before that, what I did is I had to defrost them. So I would pull the shrimp out and I would have to wait until it was done. Usually I have to pull it out a couple of hours before I want it, or even the night before. It made me so mad because I couldn't just eat shrimp whenever I wanted to. And she told me, well, you just put it in a bowl of water and microwave it and it'll cook. And that changed my life. If you get, especially, I'm talking about pre-cooked frozen shrimps, by the way. So you're not cooking it, you're just heating it up so it's good to go. Anyways, what you could do is take the frozen shrimp and chicken, saute it in your pan. All of these are options for you. But I'm not even going to give you guys a specific fajita recipe. I'll give you a spice. But the basics of this is he's using frozen chicken and shrimp, or pre-cooked chicken and shrimp. Maybe he did some kind of meal prep. I think he might cook some chicken breasts at the beginning of the week if he got some free time. Maybe that wouldn't be too much. Frozen chicken and shrimp, then some kind of spice, peppers, onions, cauliflower. I like cauliflower is like big florets. It takes up a lot of space in your sandwich, so it looks like you got a much more, more meat, more filling sandwich. You don't have to use as much chicken. I like cauliflower for that, and I also like it because it's neutral. It tends to take on different spices, and fajita spices and taco seasonings I think work really well. So that's what he's going with: chicken, shrimp, peppers and onions, cauliflower. It's probably a steam bag of cauliflower, frozen steamable cauliflower. The peppers and onions might be raw. I do get frozen peppers and onions too, but they might be raw, and he's going to saute them when he's doing the chicken and shrimp. That's the whole recipe, guys. I'm not going to type that out for you. That's all you need to know. Add spice, get some kind of chicken, get some kind of vegetables, cook them however you want. To save time, I'm going to bet you that if those are raw peppers and onions, he buys them where they're already chopped. That's what I do. They're already diced up peppers and onions, and I just have to throw them in a pan and saute. I'm not chopping my own onion. Life is too short to chop your own onion, especially if you struggle with your weight. Don't chop your own onions. Chop your own onions. I don't care. If you have the time and the energy, do it. All right. With that, we need a finger food because he normally does do chips. We're going to give him cucumbers and salsa because that goes well with the fajitas. So he has a fajita hoagie. It's basically a cheesesteak, no cheese, lots of vegetables on top, helps him control the meat, and it makes it so that he's not going to go back for a second sandwich after the first one. And then on the side, we've got cucumbers and salsa, and he can just have a whole, 2 big, huge cucumbers, and he can go to town scooping up his salsa with the cucumbers. I think he'd really enjoy that. In the future, we'll explore some other options that he uses to replace chips, but he needs those finger foods, and raw fruits and vegetables are the best options for that. And if you struggle with raw fruits and vegetables, finding a good dip is one of the best ways to get into eating more. So to give him a salsa to go with the cucumbers, I think is going to be better for him than just cucumbers. And I think it all works well together. He has this spicy, hot hoagie sandwich. Then he's got the salsa that pairs well flavor-wise, but it's cold and it's cool. And the cucumber is cold and it's cool. So it all balances well. I watch Food Network, right? I know that you're supposed to balance flavors and do things like that. All right, it's all on Chopped. So that's a good lunch for him. Big lunch, allows him to watch TV, and it's nice. He's been working all morning. Now, after lunch, this is, I think, the most important part of Walter's day. And I bet you that if you're like Walter, you would ignore this time slot. It's right between lunch and dinner. If Walter doesn't make the right choice here, he's going to go to work, he's going to leave his house, go to the school, teach his class, then he's going to have to drive home and make dinner at the end of the day and have something work. In that time where he's out of the house, that's the only time where he's going to face temptation on a normal day. Most of the day, he's at home, he's working in his garage, he's doing odd jobs. Potentially, he's got other errands and stores that he has to go to and things like that. And he has a personal life, so he's got friends that he meets and things like that. But most of the time in his retirement, he's got stuff scheduled. This is the one time slot where he's leaving his house and opening himself up to temptation and hunger and all that the world has to offer. He's going to see billboards for fast food restaurants, and he's going to see other people, in his class, his students that are snacking on chips or eating things that he used to eat that he really likes. So now he's got to make it through this class without getting hungry. He's got to make it home without stopping for fast food. And then when he gets home, he has to be able to make a dinner that he can enjoy. This time slot is so critical. All that we're doing here is putting in something small. We've given him a hard-boiled egg and an apple. And the goal here is that he has something he can carry. He can eat it on the way to class, or he can eat it on the way home to make sure that he makes it home without stopping for something else. And he's going to play around with that, see what works best for him. But both of those are good options. An apple or any sort of raw fruit is good because you can carry it. If you want it, eat it. If you don't want it, bring it back home. Hard-boiled egg works for the same reason. Although a hard-boiled egg you want to keep cold. It's a little bit more of an investment. But very easily he could take a hard-boiled egg. When he gets out of class, eat his hard-boiled egg, drive home. Doesn't take a lot of work on his part, but it's that little bit of an insurance policy to make sure that he does not get in trouble on the way home. And that's what we really want. So that's for Walter. We'll give him hard-boiled egg and an apple. And that could be a whole hard-boiled egg, or it could be just the egg whites. For me, I like hard-boiled egg whites. I don't worry as much about the yolk. When I do scrambled eggs or an omelet, I like the yolk a little bit more. So for me, for a hard-boiled egg, it's a lot easier for me to give up the yolk if I don't want to. He might eat that plain. That is kind of a goal that we have there. It's nice if he can eat it plain. But he also might have salt and pepper, or he might have, a sauce to dip it in. I've done soy sauce for my hard-boiled eggs. I've done just yellow mustard. Salsa, same salsa that he had for lunch right here. Where is it? There. That can go well in a hard-boiled egg. So there's a lot of fun that he could have if he so chooses. He can explore a lot of different things. So I like it. I like the plan up until this point. That's all that it takes, but you want that small thing that's going to get you home to make sure that you make good choices. That is a part of the day that a lot of people struggle with in the afternoon before your drive home. And he's retired, but if you work, it's especially important because you work and you get home late and you're tired and you don't want to cook and you don't want to think about it, so you make bad choices. In that time in the afternoon, eat an apple. Eat a hard-boiled egg. We'll talk about some other options in future plans, but eat something so that you make sure you can get it through this particular challenge and get home and don't stop for fast food and make a healthy dinner and love it, right? For dinner, this is a recipe that I've been making myself this week, so I really didn't give the chat any say in this. I threw this in there. I know it works really well for me. I think it would work really well for Walter. Soups are good meals for lazy cooks. Soups are pretty hard to mess up. You need a good broth, a good base. You might need some spices that you throw in there. But beyond that, any vegetables you want. If you want to throw a protein, you can throw chicken into a soup. If you want to try throwing rice, you can throw rice into a soup or pasta. You just have so much room to just do whatever you want. And it's this blank slate to have fun with. And soup is something that's very filling. It sits heavy in your stomach, so you're not going to be looking for snacks later on. And it takes time to eat. So if you eat while you watch TV, or if you are a boredom snacker, or if you get in trouble at restaurants or social situations, soups are really nice to throw in those scenarios because they take time. They keep you busy so that you can't get in trouble. And sometimes that's all you need, just the time. I know that you've heard probably the advice in past dieting experiences that if you get a craving, if you can make it just 10 minutes, then the craving will go away. I don't know what the number is, but the idea is plausible. There's some data there. So sometimes just making it the time can help. Sometimes just keeping your hands busy, keeping your taste buds occupied, that's what you're looking for. You don't need a specific recipe. You just want something that tastes good, that's going to take your mind to other thoughts. All right, without getting too much further off track. For dinner, we gave him soup. This is a recipe which will be on the website and in the description below. This is a soup that I've been doing a lot recently. I came across this on one of my live streams, actually. We found a forum actually for cancer patients who were looking for healthy foods that they could eat when they were struggling eating or when they were nauseous. And I thought that was such a neat place to end up finding recipes. There were a lot of cool soup recipes there. So we'll end up exploring that a lot more in the future. But soup is just something really fun to get into. The base of the soup is beef broth, a sweet chili sauce. You got to be careful because sweet chili sauces are sweet, which normally means there's sugar added to them. So you want to find one that is healthy. I will link to one specifically, the one that I like to use, but you can find others. You just have to make sure that you're following the right requirements and that it is in fact a good chili sauce. I will link in the description of this video and on our website. I will link a resource that shows you how to pick out groceries, different fruits, vegetables, sauces, spices, meal replacements if you want to try shakes and entrees in bars, how to tell if they're good or if you just want to leave them alone. All of that will be there. If you're looking for criteria to pick out your own sauces, you'll be able to find it there. But if you just want to use my chili sauce, by all means, have fun with it. Then I'm adding peanut butter powder to this soup. I like that peanut flavor, but peanut butter has fat and oil and it's way high in calories. The peanut butter powder is a good way of getting a little bit of that flavor without investing so heavily into the calories. And doing it as a soup means that you get this this peanut in the whole broth. It's really neat. It's really good. Then you put whatever you want to as far as fillings. What I've been liking recently is this mix here. Pinto beans, corn, spinach, all at once. It's an all vegetable soup. The beans is giving you the substance, the protein. Walter's old school. He's 68 years old. He's grown up largely fruits and vegetables and meat. That's kind of what he's known his whole life. So I feel like he is definitely the type to be into produce. That's why we put the fresh tomatoes in the morning. That's why I think he's open to cucumber. There are a lot of people that I work with who are younger who didn't have that background. Maybe they didn't grow up in a rural area or on a farm or have access to produce where they grew up. Or maybe they're just younger, so they've had much more exposure to fast food and packaged foods and things like that. But there are a lot of people I work with who are not great at eating fruits and vegetables. Walter's not that guy. That's one thing that I think he really has going for him. He would do beans. He would be able to make this a whole meal. He might want some kind of meat in there, and I think same turkey sausage he did for breakfast would work really well in this soup. I think just ground turkey would be nice in here. So we could add some meat if we wanted to, but we're not gonna. We're gonna do pinto beans, corn, and spinach, and if you try the recipe, I promise you, it is filling. You'll be good. After that, we're gonna give them a little bit of bread. Everybody likes a little bit of bread or toast or crackers to go with their soup. Crackers are hard to do when you're trying to manage your weight. Crackers are dangerous, but I think a little bit of bread is a lot easier to control. So we're gonna have him actually buy a French baguette. He's gonna cut off a piece of that. He's gonna toast it up, and that's gonna go along with his soup. He'd be very happy with that. Again, you might, instead of doing that, you might just want rice in the soup or noodles in the soup and then leave the baguette out. It's up to you. I personally like leaving the baguette on the side and having the contrast of texture. You got this dry bread to go along with the soup. Doesn't have to be a baguette. Could be an English muffin. Could be a pita. Could be, some kind of naan bread or something like that. There's cool options that you can explore there. But the baguette is okay. If there's anything I emphasize about this plan, he's eating a hoagie roll for lunch. He's having a little bit of baguette in the evening with his soup. It's cool. It's cool. Don't worry about it. You can put that stuff in your plan. Look at all the other good stuff he has. Look at all the fruits and vegetables he's doing. Look at the way he's building the rest of the plan around it. Don't be scared of a hoagie roll. That's it. You can cut the video here. Don't be scared of a hoagie roll. That's your lesson for the week. At the end of the day, Walter's not a sweet tooth. He doesn't need a dessert on a normal day. He's probably going to fall asleep before it even becomes a concern for him because he wakes up at 4 o'clock. I don't know why he does it. He doesn't know why he does it. It's just a routine that he's used to. So he's fallen asleep, especially after eating that nice hearty soup. He's fallen asleep and he's living the good life. If he wakes up in the middle of the night and he wants something, or if he does want something sweet before he goes to sleep, one of the things that he relies on a lot is just a really low-calorie, sugar-free ice pop. I will link to some options for the ones that we recommend, but if you pick the right ones, they're like 5 calories a piece. He could eat 10 of them and not get in trouble. He can certainly eat one of them if he just goes, I'd like something a little sweet. He has very easy access to eat one of them and not get into too much trouble. And again, it's cold, so depending on, what he's doing in his life, if he had a hot soup for dinner, he might want cold soup. He might want some contrast there. Just like with the hoagie roll. He had a hot hoagie, he might want a cool cucumber to contrast there. I'm as close to a professional chef as I think you can ask, guys. I'm giving you all the hot tips here. Stick around. That's his full day. And that is a good day. And if you thought this plan sounded good to you and this is something you'd like to try and you put it out there for yourself, any one of my clients that I'm coaching to lose weight, if they told me they had a day like this, I'd be happy. I wouldn't have any complaints or questions or concerns. The only thing that I would really drive is to make sure that the sauces and the spices were as good as they think they are. You don't want to use peanut butter. You don't want to use a sugary chili sauce. You want to be careful about those additives you're putting in there. But so long as those were good, It's a good plan. I'm happy with it here. At this stage, we've got a full day meal plan for him. This is what Walter's typical day looks like. As I said in the intro, in future videos, we're going to make it more challenging. We're going to throw some extra wrenches into the puzzle here, and we'll have to figure out how he solves those challenges and still makes it through the day happy. That will be a lot of fun, so I do hope that you subscribe and you watch these future videos if Walter's plan is at all interesting to you, and especially if you are similar to Walter, if you like the same sorts of things. Definitely come back, keep watching his plans, you'll learn some cool stuff. At the end of every video, every time I do a meal plan, I say the same thing. You don't have to follow this plan 100%. I hope two things happen when you watch this video. Number one, I hope that you get an appreciation for the fundamental rules. How do you put a good plan together? We didn't do a calorie count here. We didn't do carb tracking. Walter is not reading nutrition labels. Look at his face, guys. You think Walter's going to pull out a measuring scale and weigh out exactly how much cauliflower he's supposed to be eating? No. When Walter's hungry, he's going to eat stuff that tastes good and that he likes. Stuff that's easy, stuff that's fast. You have to be able to prepare stuff that doesn't take all that work. If you have specific questions about the rules here, we didn't pick these foods at random. If you want to have a discussion, you want to really understand how we're making these plans, I strongly recommend that you check out our website or on our YouTube channel. There's a playlist called Weight Loss Guide. It's a 5-video playlist with a couple of like bonus videos in there with examples. But it's 5 videos that walk you through what I do with my clients when I coach them to build their own meal plans. What sort of things we talk about, what sort of things we look at. And video number 3 especially is a video that shows how we decide which foods are good, which foods are bad, which foods you want to avoid, which foods you want to be careful with. Once you know which foods are okay, that's it. You don't have to do any more calorie counting past that point. Once you know it's a good food, you don't have to worry about the measurements as much. That makes the plan making process a lot easier, and it makes it easier to stick to long term. So I highly recommend that you watch that full series. If you don't watch the whole series, watch video number 3. I know it's kind of a longer video, but it really gets into how we identify which foods are good and which foods are bad. There's more detail on our website if you want to check that out. But if there's anything you want to know from these videos, please come to one of our live streams. You can talk to me directly. Talk in the chat, type a question. I will answer whatever you want to know. If it's a question about this plan, if it's a question about weight loss in general, if it's a question about your own diet or your own routine, that's a good place for you to ask it. It's the best way to get in touch with me directly. Of course, also leave comments down below this video, and I'll try and answer everything I can find there. But when you're talking to me right directly in that chat, that's the easiest way to get a hold of me right away. So the first thing that I hope that you get from these plans is just this general approach, understanding how to put the plan together. The second thing that I hope you get from these plans is an idea. You don't have to take the whole plan, but the ideas are worthwhile. If I show you this plan and the only thing you get from it is, oh, black coffee. Yeah, I can drink coffee as long as I don't put cream and sugar. That's worth it to me. Keep drinking your coffee. You know that that's a good choice for you. If you're looking at this plan and you see, oh, the hoagie roll is okay. Where is it? Boop. The hoagie roll is okay. Let me see if I can point to it. It's way up there. Oh, I didn't know I could do a hoagie roll. I just got to make sure the stuff inside of it is good. Maybe fajitas doesn't sound good to you at all, but you think, well, maybe I'll do a turkey sub. Maybe I'll do a cold sub. Maybe I'll do, what would we do? Maybe a turkey meatballs, right? I can do all sorts of stuff once I know a hoagie roll is okay. Maybe you like the idea of finding a dip to go with your vegetables. It says cucumber and salsa. Maybe I don't want salsa, but maybe I would do a ranch dip. Maybe I would do a hummus. If you look at the snack, maybe you don't like hard-boiled eggs, but you go, oh yeah, maybe I should have a snack before I leave work so that I can get home and make good choices too. Maybe you don't like this soup recipe. Oh, it's so hard. Where is it? There. There. Right? Maybe you don't like that soup recipe, but the idea of soup now gets planted. There might be one idea, one recipe, one sauce, one spice, one meal where you just like, okay, I like what he did for lunch. I'll do that same lunch tomorrow for myself. Any sort of individual idea, that's what I'm hoping you get from these plans. So at this stage, you've now got one full meal plan. If you watch through the rest of this channel, you'll find more and more. And over time, I'll keep adding, hopefully, more for you. And again, if you don't like the whole plan, take the ideas, collect the ideas. We will always be here as a resource for you. Check out our website, come back, subscribe, like, comment, be my friend, all the good stuff. Check out more of the videos in the future. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.